We are back on a Monday to talk about Law 22
That's right.
of the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
What an amazing author he is.
And let's talk about Law 22,
Okay.
which is use the surrender tactic, transform weakness into power. When you are weaker, never fight for honor's sake. Choose surrender instead. Surrender gives you time to recover, time to torment and irritate your conqueror, time to wait for his power to wane. Do not give him the satisfaction of fighting and defeating you. Surrender first. By turning the other cheek, you infuriate and unsettle him. Make surrender a tool of power.
Crazy.
Which is contradictory to what most people think power is. Most people think power is dominant, right? You're dominating the other person, not surrender. You think Genghis Khan, conquering. But here he's saying use the tactic of surrender at specific times and play a long game, right?
Right.
He's saying play a long game because you'll come back stronger. They will be tired, weaker.
Correct. They always credit China with playing the long tactical game. They always credit, that country, its people. They are strategic,
Yeah.
to say the least, in many of the things they do. It's also one of the oldest cultures on earth. So they go back hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years, actually.
Yeah.
And they always credit China with, the long-term play. And,
Yeah.
but this law is incredible because, what's the point of fighting if you're weak? You're
Right.
gonna lose.
What are your thoughts on it? I'll share with you just off the bat. One of the things that hit me was never fight for honor's sake.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of ideas on this law, and I actually have seen this law play out in my lifetime.
When did you see it?
Yeah, well, the Robert Greene is a thorough history buff, and the example that he gives is when Athens was trying to take over the island of Melos in the Mediterranean. Melos is, if you look it up, Greece has a lot of islands, and Melos is strategically placed in the Mediterranean Sea, and Athens wanted to take over, and so they offer them to be an allied. Okay, and Melos had this thing with Spartans, and they had created an association and a treaty with Spartan, and they felt, that they needed to honor that treaty. So they refused all the outreach that Athens was doing, okay, for the sake of honor, for the sake of their beliefs. They had something that they were honoring their word with Spartan, right?
Yeah.
Well, history proved them to be incorrect. Athens, got tired of sending protocol after protocol and then invaded, and then they actually killed all the men in the island, all of them. They destroyed all of them, and then it's my understanding that women were sold off to slavery, and the kids, and they killed a bunch of the young kids, and that they destroyed them, and then they populated Melos with their own people. So the Athenians took over when they could have, in a form of surrender, they could have said, okay, we accept your treaty, forget. And the other thing that this is a brutal example because Sparta knew that they were being attacked, and they never came to the rescue. And they got into that situation for the honorable deal that they had struck with Sparta. And Sparta never came to the table.
Yeah.
Never came to help them out.
Sparta. Sparta didn't need them.
Yeah. So, and the Athenians came in and slaughtered them. And they had offered a protocol, hey, let's talk about this. you can surrender, but there's a future here. But no, they went to war. These guys, the people from Melos said, we're not. And
Yeah.
that's history, and you can't change history. That's written, that's factual. And so they got destroyed.
Yeah.
And so that's the part of history. Now, I've seen it played out, okay? I've seen it played out where, for the sake of honor, for the sake of doing what's right, and you can get caught up in that, I have, okay? But I seen this lady that fought this huge company, and the company destroyed her and dragged her family through the mud because part of the family was involved with the company. And so, it's doing what's right. You need to.
Yeah, because the other side is like, if to be able to like sleep at night, you have to fight for what you believe in, for what is right. And then, but in the long run, are you just kind of, is it going in vain kind of thing? Like, is kind of the idea of like lose the, what is it, battle, win the war.
Right.
Maybe you you take a loss. It's like the other day there was an incident with a company that I had ordered something from this company, and then we went through the process of returning it, requesting a refund, returning it, and they put us through such a unpleasant process. They were giving us such a hard time. And for me, for like honor's sake, I'm like, I'm gonna take this all the way down to the higher up. I got the CEO's number and everything of this company, and then at the end of the day, it's a waste of time, because they weren't willing to just take a loss, which in the long run, from my perspective, let's say that they couldn't accept back the package or whatever. You just take a loss. You accept that as like, this is the cost of doing business. We made a mistake. We said we were going to refund and we didn't, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't. They stood their ground, and then I would be going to war with them, and it's unpleasant, and waking up and having to fight these guys every morning.
Yeah, man. Oof.
It's not worth it. But anyways, there was this incident. Remember one time... there was a claim. Was it the time that I stepped on that nail?
Oh, yeah.
We're walking down the store together. I step on a nail, and it punctures through my shoe and actually makes my foot bleed because it punctured my foot.
Yeah.
So we go straight to the emergency room.
Well, no, first we went to the manager because that nail... it
was a roofing nail.
It was a roofing nail that was on the floor of the store.
Yeah.
And so you were younger, and
yeah,
we went to the manager of the store and we said, "Look, this is what happened, and here's the nail." And then she said, "Well, you're gonna have to go to the emergency room. That's our protocol and procedure. If you don't go to the emergency room, then you break procedure, so you're not gonna be able to file a claim. So in order to file a claim, you need to do this, this, and this." And
so we go to the emergency room, and long story short, I get a bill. I send it to this store, the corporation that we filed the claim with, and they deny the claim.
They deny the claim.
Which some of their protocol is deny the claim. The first claim you deny no matter what.
Some companies do that,
companies.
I guess. Yeah.
And so the insurance company was denying the claim, and I remember I was trying to resolve it myself, and I told the lady, "Well, I'm gonna have to see you guys in court," kind of thing. It was maybe not those exact words, but
no, something like that.
Yeah, like, you're denying the claim for
I'm gonna sue you.
the emergency room. Okay, well, I'm gonna consult with my attorney, and then she called my bluff, and she said, "Okay, we'll look forward to speaking to your attorney." Something along those lines.
Done, and she flagged your account.
Done. She was not gonna do anything else because I was willing to fight for honor's sake, because it wasn't...
You were very young. You were very young at that point, and maybe somewhat idealistic and whatever. So
Yeah.
you
Well,
hadn't read the
early
48 Laws of Power yet.
early 20s or something,
Yeah.
let's say. But then you were able to come in and you helped me out.
Then
You
I
talked
step
to the-
in because you tell me, "Oh my God, I don't even have an attorney."
I gotta find somebody. And then, well, I was young, but I was already making money, and
Right.
I already thought I'll fight these guys.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'll hire somebody.
Right, right.
And then the thing was, you came in and you said, "Look, I remember you talked to the claims lady and said, look, this young kid is gonna really fight you. You know, he's really gonna lawyer up because he believes in the cause and all this, and he feels it's unjust. Just pay the kid up. Pay him."
Well, I told her it's not worth it. It's not worth it for you nor us. You know, he's gonna lawyer up,
Yeah.
and he's taking it as it's a personal hit.
Vendetta.
Yeah,
It's a personal vendetta.
yeah. And I said, look, you said you were gonna pull because she said in the process when she was talking to you, as I stepped in, she had mentioned that she was gonna pull the cameras
In the store. Yeah.
yeah,
Surveillance.
and the surveillance. And she says, yeah, I saw it. He's walking by and you're right next to him and he steps on something and he seems to be in pain and then leans and grabs onto you. And I go, okay. So the something you're referring to is a roofing nail, which is 2.5 inches, with a little pink thing in the back. And I said, look, this is not a frivolous thing, and we're not asking for anything other than pay the
emergency room.
Pay the emergency room.
$1,000 or something.
We were gonna go to our own doctor. That's what turned it around. Because I told her, look, just hear me out for that. We were gonna go to our own doctor and incur the cost with our medical coverage. But your office, the manager in the store said, look, this is our protocol. You have to go to the emergency room. And we went to the emergency room, and this cost is like
$1,000.
Yeah. No.
More.
No, it was more.
1,200,
Yeah, it was
I don't
outrageous. Yeah, it was outrageous.
Yeah.
And
No,
we would
you're
have
right, it was
resolved it
more.
with our own doctor. So then that's what turned her around. But that's a fight. See, that's a typical example. Had you gone into that fight,
Biggest waste of time.
wasted time, money, effort, energy, it'll leave you with a negative taste in your mouth because no matter what the result, let's say you win at the end. The price at the end does not merit the sacrifice of the process.
And
you see what I'm saying?
100%. And I think that in situations of that Robert Greene's talking about with this law, in situations of like power, and I see this like you're fighting somebody, whether it's a corporation, whether it's a employer, a client, like you're fighting somebody. It's like a battle. And in situations like this, he's saying it's not worth it, or surrender tactfully, and then you come back even stronger when you can actually fight that fight and win.
The thing is that your ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
Because why do you want to surrender? You want to put up a fight. And we're talking about, for example, in the case of Melos, you're talking about you gave your word to somebody, so it's your loyalty.
Yeah.
It's your respect. Your word is all you've got. These are very powerful ideals to live by. You want to live by those ideals because you want to stand behind what you say. You want to stand behind your product. You want to stand behind whatever it is you're selling, whether it's insurance, whether it's real estate. You want to know that you're portraying an image that people can trust you. Your word is everything. So these are very important things that mean a tremendous amount to many people like us. Okay? So it's difficult. That's why I told you I had a different perspective on this, because first of all, you have to realize that it's not worth the fight. But how do you do that?
In the moment.
In the moment, how do you do that?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Because this lady that took on this behemoth of a company, got
There's no
caught.
waiting.
got caught in the system, and there's just, you know. And then on
Yeah.
the other side of the coin, what is the name of that lady that sued for all those people that had cancer? They
What?
made a movie out
Aaron
of
Brockovich?
Erin Brockovich. She single-handedly, from what I understand, took on this huge corporation. There's a lot to be said about that, you know. If she would have thought, oh, you know, it's not worth the fight, you know, some people won't take no. They can't be bought.
Right.
They can't, you know.
And I hear you. And the way that I look at this is, even though you're surrendering, you're not giving up the fight.
Oh,
You're
that's a
coming,
good point.
You're coming back. It's just, are you going to take on this behemoth, like you say, head on? Or are you going to be tactful in your approach? Because if you take on this behemoth head on, then you will lose.
The law does say that.
Yeah.
You know, come back to fight another day when you're stronger.
Right.
And on one of the reviews, it said, what's the point of engaging a battle? See, now we're talking about history, so, but you can apply it to the corporate world today.
A battle could be a situation.
One
that
manager
comes
to
up.
another.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the point of engaging a battle with someone that's in a much higher and stronger position than you are when you're going to get crushed?
Right.
It's better to use the tactic of surrender and get stronger in that process and come back to fight a stronger fight.
Yeah.
Because also it says that power is waving. In other words, the powerful person today or the powerful country today, it's in flux. In other words, it won't be powerful.
It may not be 10 years from now.
Or 20.
Or 20, yeah.
So,
yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Nothing lasts forever, man.
No, and I think that one of the situations when you're in, let's say, have a power position, you're looking at many people as a threat to your power. You can kind of become a little bit maybe like paranoid that everybody's gunning for your spot. And when somebody surrenders, I think that if I surrender, you're not looking at me as a threat anymore.
There you go.
So I'm kind of like to the side.
Right.
I'm not in your
la
frame.
mirilla.
I'm not in your scope.
In your scope, yeah.
Yeah, I've surrendered.
I can't help but think, you just said about PBD. He promotes a book that I think it's called Only the...
Bet David?
Yeah, only the... what did you say? You're thinking everybody's coming for you. Only the paranoid survive. Apparently, it's a book that's kind of like the title or something. Say, only the paranoid survive. And it's got to do with business. And he pushes that book, I think. And so, he talks about, look, the climb up the hill to become a successful businessman, it's arduous, no doubt about it. But when you reach the top, staying at the top is brutal. Brutal. So it's not just a climb, but it's also trying to maintain yourself at the top. And in the entire process, try to create what's called generational wealth, if you could.
Yeah, make it last.
Make it last
not
too.
Just one generation.
Correct.
How would you protect yourself, let's say, from somebody who's using the surrender tactic on you? Let's say you're in a negotiation, because negotiations are a form of battle.
It's a battle. We just finished one right now, and this is in the real estate business now.
Yeah.
And it depends on the situation. Just like Napoleon would say, let me study the field, because apparently he was an excellent tactician, and he could immediately assess, okay, I'm going to be better off on high ground, or it rained the day before, so now you got muddy, and they have horses, so let the horse comes into the mud, and then they slow down, and we got them. So it depends on the day, the time. what's happened to the environment, Um, it's really interesting. But sometimes showing a little vulnerability goes a long way, you know? Now, we didn't show it here, but we just made an offer, and very strong, and we put a time frame. And you can tell the audience, what's the time frame we just put on this offer?
Oh, yeah. We put, it was like, it's a day.
24 hours.
It's a little bit over 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking, because negotiations are definitely, when I watch a movie now, when I am involved in negotiations, I can't help but think of the loss. You just can't help but think. Even I was
You were warned.
Yeah.
He warned you. Robert Greene told you, listen,
Look,
before you start reading this book,
it'll change your view on
everything.
life,
On life.
everything.
Yeah.
And there are some situations where the law pops up and then I quiet that, because I don't think that in that situation I should be thinking the loss,
So, that's interesting.
But when I watch certain movies, like I was sharing with you on the movie Oppenheimer, you see the loss played out. I was watching
I haven't seen it.
Harry Potter yesterday, the first one, which I had seen this a long time ago, but I rewatched it. I finished it yesterday, and you see the loss played out, because there's these kids and these different groups aiming for first place, and they are using the loss. They're
Manipulating each other.
Yeah. So
I haven't seen Oppenheimer, and I have seen Harry Potter a long time ago, but
yeah, but you can't help. This is so in a negotiation is what I was getting to, and we're negotiating on a daily basis. If you are in a corporate setting, a business setting, you're negotiating also but sales is negotiation.
no doubt about it.
But I
Yeah, but sales, I forget right now who said it. It might be Dan Pena, but he says, hey, you're negotiating every day, every moment of your life, whether you're peddling something, because he's rough, he's tough, that guy. He says, you're negotiating with your wife. Well,
Where you gonna eat?
What restaurant? There you go. What restaurant you're gonna go?
It's true.
Yeah, I want to go this way. She wants to go that way. Well, you're negotiating all the time.
Everything.
What car are you gonna take?
Yes.
How long are you gonna stay? I mean, you're negotiating all the time,
However,
constantly.
what I was gonna say is that in the negotiations that we have, you see the loss played out, and so in some situations, when do you use the surrender tactic? When do you use the surrender tactic? He's saying, don't give the other person the satisfaction of fighting and defeating you. Surrender first. By turning the cheek, you infuriate and unsettle him. Turning the cheek is like Jesus Christ says, turn the cheek, right?
Correct.
But this is different. This is turning the cheek with the idea of you're trying to get to this person. You're trying to unsettle them. Maybe make them think, oh, what's his next move? They surrendered. That's weird. Usually you go down fighting, you hear. So
I say that all the time.
I think it's an interesting law.
We're going to go down, but we're going to go down fighting.
Yeah. When do you... Because I think you've done a great job at knowing when it's time to say, hey, you know what? This is not worth fighting. That's a form of surrender.
Thank you.
I don't think surrender means like, I put up the flag, I think it can mean different things, and I think I've seen you do it before. It's like, this is not worth fighting. I'll let him have that one.
Right.
Because the bigger picture.
Yes.
So how have you been able to do that where you're able to...
It's extremely difficult, and I'm learning every day, okay? I try to balance out, for me, time is the most precious commodity that I have.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely precious because I'm getting older. So I have a lot less time left.
You feel it more.
Well, for sure. I'm getting older, so I have less time. So time is the most precious commodity that I have. But I realize that to its fullest existence today, more so than when I was in my 20s, So
Yeah.
today I will engage only in battles that I think I'm like 95% sure I'm going to win.
Mm.
I'm not going to engage in a battle where, I think it's not worth the, it's so.
And how
It's
do you
not.
assess that?
That's the thing.
I think of it like a game of chess.
It is, and it's very difficult. And how do you assess it? It's difficult.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of things pulling you. Because especially if somebody has done you wrong, like for example, in the case of Verizon, with me, okay? See that I haven't lost sight. I'm coming back to fight, but I couldn't fight there. Okay?
Interesting.
Yeah. And so I'm waiting to see, but
They messed you up.
oh God.
They messed you up real bad.
Yeah, that'll be another podcast.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna come back and fight him with everything I've got. But back then,
It wasn't worth it.
no. And this happened in July of this year. They royally messed me up. Verizon. I walked into that place, and I walked out of there without a phone. And I'm a businessman, just like anybody else that needs a phone. My phone didn't get activated till past midnight of the following day.
Oof.
Okay?
And they did a bunch of other
Oh.
blunders.
It'll be a podcast. But see, back then,
Yeah.
I knew that I was so involved and I was so upset. That's another thing. If you're angry, if you're upset, every single law out there will tell you, look, you're not thinking straight because you're so upset and so angry.
Right.
Pull
Yeah.
back a little bit and then, take a look at the entire battlefield.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Like
it's
you said, ego.
brutal.
Ego
The
a lot
ego.
of times is the reason. Like, you guys messed me up. I'm going to fight you.
And I want compensation for it.
Mhm.
You royally messed me up.
Honor's sake. You,
And by the way, because I mentioned Verizon, the guys at the store were great. I know that there might have been a little bit of incompetence involved, but the ones that really
Yeah.
I'm throwing the rock at is corporate.
yeah, it was overseas.
Corporate.
Yeah.
So,
So, I think this is a great law. I think that knowing when to employ it is what we've been talking about in the more recent ones. It's like, when do you use this tactic? And I really like at the ending that he says, make surrender a tool of power. So you got
Yeah.
a tool belt, okay? When you go into battle, in your negotiations, in your sales, in the corporation that you work at, maybe it's with family, other relationships. You have that tool belt, right? And you can have your hammer in there. You got your screwdriver. You got all your different measuring tape, and you just need to know when to use what.
when to use it. And it's like the Japanese have that word ikigai. My good friend George gave me the book. I should have brought the book, but what is your purpose? For example, in the movie of Brockovich, what's her name?
Erin Brockovich.
Erin Brockovich. Let's just say her ikigai was she was saving lives,
Mm-hmm.
or she was looking for compensation for a tremendous injustice that was done that affected people in the most horrible ways, which is they died. Okay?
Right. It
So
was because there was a contamination. that was
Contamination
spread
and-
to the
right.
soil, water. and
Yeah.
all that.
And so because she took on
She's
this-
still around.
She took on this behemoth of a company and she fought them. And of course, she started single-handedly to attack them because, like they say, every long journey starts with a single step, right? You got to take one step. That first step and second and maybe the next 15 and 20, you're alone. you're probably alone in that quest until you can bring other people into your belief, and people see the commitment that you are doing this because it's the right thing to do, and you may build up a huge. So there's
But
a
at
lot
first,
to
no one believes in you.
right. And yeah. You have to approve you, and in this case, you need a chemical results, chemical testing, this and that was the what. Okay, but and then you get a certain moment. You know what it reminds me of? Javier Milei in Argentina. He seems to be taking the country by storm because of what he believes in. And in one of his interviews, he said, they got nothing on me because I'm willing to die for my beliefs.
Right, that's powerful.
Oh,
That's dangerous too.
yes.
But
I'm willing to die for my beliefs.
somebody who's willing to die, I mean, over for their beliefs, that's conviction. I mean, you're living it.
Yeah.
But
And I like the guy, so I hope he's not a false prophet, I've been burned so many times that a lot of I don't agree with everything he says, but a lot of the things that he says make sense to me.
right,
But which is the law that says don't commit to anyone? Was it 9?
Law 20.
Law 20.
Do not commit.
Yeah. I'm there with him, but I don't want to.
Yeah. With regards to people not believing in you at the beginning, and you eventually build momentum and a track record, like you're saying, Aaron Brockovich, or other instances. In my personal life, I remember in business having really high goals with this one corporation, and I remember telling one person what my goal was with this corporation my first year in sales, my goal in sales, and
They
not
kind
my
of
first
laughed
year,
at you
but
or what?
on my own. Well, no, he didn't laugh at me, but he didn't believe me.
You could tell
You could
by
tell.
the expression, the
Yeah.
body language,
Yeah,
right?
I said, I'm gonna reach this amount of sales, and then he was just, okay, But then I realized he shouldn't believe in me. I haven't proven myself. So go out there and prove yourself, and then that's where the journey began.
See, that's the beauty of reading books, and everybody should read as many books as possible because had I read, I come across that too, but
Well, I would question that.
well, see, the thing is that okay, fine, but pick good books. But that's one of the agreements. That's one of the books we just reviewed. Don't take anything personal.
Yeah, don't take anything personal.
You go far by not doing that
Sure.
because you take it personal, and there's all that energy invested in this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. So
what happened there?
with what?
So he didn't believe in you. You could tell.
Yeah.
And
So
then-
I had to prove myself, and no, I'm saying that's where the journey began, is because he had no reason to believe in me. But now I'm gonna make you a believer by showing you, and that's where I began to get to work. That's where I.
Well, that's one of the laws.
Yeah.
Your words
Let your actions.
let
speak.
your actions do the talking.
Yes, because.
Wow, we're living the.
Yeah, because you're. Don't win through argument, because when you win through argument,
It's short-lived.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I think you can't. Through actions is the best way to get things done. But anything else you wanted to add to this one?
Yeah, it's difficult when you're in the midst of it
Mm-hmm.
to figure out, because you said, thank you for that. You think I've done a decent job, pulling out this and that. As I get older, the time that I have left, I want to spend it in the most productive way possible and not get caught up in the details of, this is a wrong that was done to me.
Mm-hmm.
This needs to be corrected. This wrong needs to be righted, right? Sure, I want to do that too, but it just depends. What is the outcome? Is it worth it? What am I going to get? Like, for example, in this case, am I going to get a phone? Okay. And what is the phone worth? $1,000? $1,000 is a lot for many people and a lot for me too. But is it worth the fight? Is that $1,000 worth 3 weeks of me sending emails, trying to be with corporate, you know. So I retrieved,
Right.
but I'm coming back to fight a more effective fight, a more
Yeah.
powerful fight, you know, and use very little time of my to devote to that.
Yeah.
So I can devote it to wherever I want, to family, friends,
Yeah.
anything else that's a hobby that I want, playing the piano, playing soccer, whatever I choose to do that I find important at that moment.
Right.
So it's difficult to do. Don't think it's not. And the first thing that's going to get in the way is your ego. Because why will you
Right.
surrender?
Defeat, rejection,
Yeah,
defeat.
defeat.
Those are difficult things to deal
Not
with.
good. Boo-how.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're difficult things to deal with. I think most people don't embrace or like defeat or rejection
Of course not.
or surrendering or admitting you did wrong. You know.
Yeah. Well, facing up to something that you've done wrong, that's something you must do.
Well, I think it's
Defeat
important.
is different. Well,
Yeah. Well, some people may see that as a loss or a defeat.
you're right.
But it just depends how you look at things. But I really liked reviewing this law, and
Yeah.
I think it's very powerful, and knowing when to put it into place. And yeah, if there's nothing else you want to add in, we can wrap it
No.
up there.
It's introspect. The more you know yourself,
Yeah.
the better you're going to be able to move forward in life in all aspects. It really is introspect, and but Robert
Agreed.
Greene, man.
Cool. All right, we'll
What a
wrap it
good-
up. Thank you.